Welcome to the substitution station. We will begin with problems like we did yesterday, where we do not have a variable already solved for itself. So step one will be, step one was we want to pick a variable. You want to find a variable that has a coefficient of positive 1 already, because it makes it much easier to solve for. So when I look at my equation, I skim very close. This one has a coefficient of 2. That x has a coefficient of negative 1, which is close, but not what I'm looking for. That y has a coefficient of negative 5, and that y has a coefficient of 1. So I'm going to pick my top equation. I want to get that y by itself. So I'm going to circle what I'm solving for, and I'm going to get rid of that 2x. I do so by subtracting it and taking it to the other side. So now I have y equals 2 minus 2x. This equation and this equation are the same equation. So when I come over here, I've already done step 1 where I picked a variable. I picked y. Step 2, I got that variable by itself. Perfect. Step 3 says plug the expression into the unused equation. So since this equation and this equation are the same thing, I have to plug this into the other equation. So it says that y equals that. So I keep my negative x, I keep my minus 5, but instead of y, I fill in what does y equal. Well, y equals 2 minus 2x. So in my equation here, I'm going to put 2 minus 2x. So I plugged it in. Now I should have a one variable equation. I do. You notice the y has disappeared. Yay. Now it says step 4, solve for that variable. Well, this is stuff we've been doing all year long, so we should be good at this. So I'm going to draw my line, and I start by eliminating the parentheses. So my negative x stays. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Negative 5 times negative 2x is positive 10x. I'm going to equal negative 1. Now I need to combine like terms because on this side I have a positive 10x and a negative 1x. When I combine those two things together, my negative 10 stays. Negative 1 plus 10 is a 9x, and it's positive because my 10 is positive and it's bigger. Circle what I'm solving for. How do I get rid of the 10? I add it to both sides. So I have 9x equals 9. Circle what I'm solving for. Get rid of the 9 by dividing by 9. And so my x is going to equal 1. So I have half of my first answer, 1. Now I need to find the y term of my answer. So step 5 says insert your answer into one of the 3 original equations. Okay. So since we talked that this equation is equal to that one, I can take my 1 and insert it right here where that x is to get my y answer. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase the x. Oh, I erased a lot more than x, didn't I? I'm just going to rewrite it. So y equals 2 minus 2, and instead of x, I'm going to use my parentheses. I'm going to fill in my 1 for x. So what's negative 2 times 1? Well, that's going to be 2 minus 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So what is y? 0. I'm going to come back over here. If you would like to take the notes down, I'm going to put it like this. You could hit pause, get the top part, and then get the bottom part there. Now this one is easy to do substitution because they've already given you one of your answers. So that huge long list of everything that we just did on the first page gets cut literally in half. Because I can do this, and I know my y is 4. Well, since my y is 4, I know I can take out that y right there and put in a 4. So I have 8x minus 2, and instead of my y, I'm going to put parentheses equals negative 24. So since y is 4, I fill in 4 there. Now I just solve. So 8x minus 8 equals negative 24. Circle what I'm solving for. Add 8. Add 8. And I have 8x equals negative 16. Circle what you're solving for. Divide it by 8. Divide it by 8. And x equals negative 2. So here is my answer. The point negative 2, 4. This is all my work. You need to be sure that every answer is written as an ordered pair. Write all answers as an ordered pair. It is essential. Your test tomorrow will look a lot like these. You have like 2 of these. You only have and like maybe 1 of the other one. So we're going to do one more. Step 1 was to pick a variable. Well, that one has a coefficient of negative 4. That one negative 3. That one 6. But this one has a coefficient of 1. So we want to get this y by itself. How am I going to do it? I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. So when I do that, I now have y equals 17 minus 6x, which means I look just like I did when we did these on Tuesday. So I'm going to now take my second equation, my negative 4x minus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to do the parentheses, equals 5. What gets filled in the parentheses? 17 minus 6x. And now I just solve. Alright, so I got my negative 4x, because that's not part of my distributive property. My distributive property is negative 3 times 17, which is a negative 51. My negative 3 times negative 6, which is a positive 18x, equals 5. Step 2, combine like terms. So my negative 4x plus my 18x is positive 14x. I didn't do anything with my negative 51, so he hangs out, and that's all going to equal 5. Circle what you're solving for. Get rid of the negative 51 by adding 51. Adding 51. So I have 14x equals 56. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 14 to get x completely by itself, and x equals 4. So I come back up here, I start my answer, and I have 4, comma. Now I need to find y, which means I can use this equation, or this equation to find y. Since this one's already got y by itself, I'm going to plug my 4 in right here and find out what y is. So I keep my y equals 17 minus 6 times whatever x is. Well, we already found x to be 4. So now I just have to put this in my calculator. If I put it in the exact way I see it, it'll give me my answer. So y equals 17. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. So y equals 17 minus 24 is a negative 7. If you need any more help, please see me.